Say these words and watch what happens, not because they're magic, but because they change the way you stand, breathe, and hold your value. Say them slowly, with calm in your chest and certainty in your voice. I respect you, and I respect myself. Those 6 words do more than flirt. They realign everything. They stop chasing. They stop begging. They make you steady. They make you somebody worth seeking. If you think that sentence is a trick, stay with me. This isn't a manipulative hack. It's a stoic reframe that flips attraction on its head. It's the difference between being noticed and being desired. Listen carefully, because what I'm about to give you will change how you show up in rooms, on dates, and in texts, and how women start to respond. First, let me cut through the noise. There is no single phrase that will turn someone who doesn't care into someone who's in love overnight. That's fantasy. But there is a single phrase, and more importantly, a single stance that rewires the dynamics between 2 people. I respect you, and I respect myself is not an attempt to win her favor. It's a boundary. It's a declaration that you will not erode yourself to obtain approval. That clarity is magnetic. People are drawn to people who are not desperate, who do not need validation to feel whole. The Stoics called this inner stability, the fortress of the self. And when you speak from it, your words carry weight. They're not loud, bare, calibrated. They're not needy. They're steady. You need a story to understand why this works. Imagine 2 men at a party. One leans forward every time she speaks, laughing too hard, agreeing with everything. He gives compliments like currency because he needs a return on the emotional investment. The other sits back, listens intently, smiles without pleading, and when he speaks, his words are measured. He says something like, "That's interesting. Thanks for sharing." He doesn't try to impress. He doesn't try to fix. He's present. Which one feels attractive? Which one exudes sovereignty? It's not the volume of effort that wins attraction. It's the alignment of effort with dignity. Women, like everyone, respond to presence, not performance. That's the first secret. Stop selling yourself. Now let's dismantle the story. Most guys tell themselves, if I just show how much I care, she'll notice. That idea is baked into romantic culture, but it's a false dichotomy. When you perform care to buy attention, you exchange value for temporary looks. True care doesn't perform. It rests in action without anxiety. Stoicism teaches us to act virtuously, because virtue is the only true good, not to manipulate outcomes. If your acts of care become tactics, they lose their sincerity. People sense inauthenticity. They can tell when you're invested in the result more than the action. Authenticity attracts. Neediness repels. The phrase you'll say, "I respect you," and "I respect myself," signals authenticity. It says you're here to share, not to harvest approval. Let me give you a practical rehearsal. Stand in front of a mirror. Breathe. Notice where you tighten when you think about rejection. Most men tighten their neck, raise their shoulders, quicken their breath. Those signals leak into their words. Now drop your shoulders. Let your breath lengthen. Look at your eyes in the mirror and say, with calm conviction, I respect you, and I respect myself. Mean it. Feel it land in your chest. This posture becomes your gravitational field. When you go out next, that calm will be palpable. You will speak less. You will listen more. And here's the kicker. When you're no longer clinging to approval, others cling to you. People always want to know the exact words to say on a first date, in a text, in a fight. Words matter, but the tone behind the words and the backstory in your body matters most. The Stoic approach is to anchor yourself in principles that shape your language naturally. The principle here is reciprocity anchored in dignity. Instead of saying, I did this for you, you say, I did this because it mattered to me to show up. Instead of begging for recognition, you accept your worth independent of her applause. It's subtle, but it changes the energy. Your compliments become gifts, not bids. Your presence becomes a choice, not a demand. This is where many men trip up. They confuse domination with strength, brashness, loudness, arrogance. These are brittle forms of power. They crack under scrutiny. True power is quiet. Stoicism trains you to respond, not react. When you say, I respect you, and I respect myself, you practice the discipline of appropriate action. You model respect, not submission, and you refuse to sacrifice your integrity for temporary affection. That makes you trustworthy. Trustworthiness is a profound form of attraction because it promises safety. Women, like everyone, are wired to seek safety and reliability in partners. This phrase projects both. Now let's examine the content itself. Why these words? Because they do two things at once. They validate the other person, and they recenter you. I respect you acknowledges her autonomy, her values, her choices. That's essential. People crave being seen and respected. And I respect myself does the boundary work. It says you will not erase yourself to appease. It communicates that you will be equal in the relationship, not subordinate. Equality is magnetic because it creates a fertile ground for mutual growth. People want to invest in partners who invest in themselves. But this isn't a magic wand. There's a practice curve. You must embody these words consistently. That means living in alignment with them across small things and big things. If you say them on a date, but then cancel plans last minute, or ghost emotionally when things get real, your words will ring hollow. Stoicism emphasizes consistent character. It's not theater. If you want her, or anyone, to start chasing you, you must become the kind of person people naturally want to chase. Stable, intriguing, continually improving. Here's the step-by-step daily work you need to internalize this stance. Begin each morning with a 5-minute habit to center yourself. Sit quietly. Breathe and repeat the phrase internally. Don't chant it like a slogan. Instead, feel each word. What does it mean to respect another? What does it mean to respect yourself? Visualize small scenarios. A disagreement with a friend, a stressful email at work, a text that triggers insecurity. See how the phrase guides your response. You listen first. You choose integrity over panic. This rehearsal trains your nervous system. Over weeks, the phrase becomes your automatic anchor. In social settings, your job is observation and presence, not performance. Listen without planning a rebuttal. Ask open questions that surface her values, not her opinions. When she shares something vulnerable, mirror it. I hear that made you feel. Then pause. People rarely pause. Pause is a signal of containment. It says you're steady enough to hold nuance. And when you speak, offer a perspective without forcing it as the truth. Stoic communication is humble but principled. That humility attracts because it suggests emotional maturity, the rare currency in most dating markets. Now, we must confront the dark side of attraction advice, the temptation to use language as manipulation. Don't. Stoicism insists that virtue is the only aim. Use your stance to be better, not to prey. When you truly respect yourself and others, the relationships that form will be healthier, deeper, and more sustainable. The phrase is not a trick to make her chase you while you remain empty inside. It's the beginning of building real magnetism rooted in character to deepen the effect. Pair the phrase with 3 behavioral pillars. Play first. Cultivate self-sufficiency. This isn't financial independence only. It's emotional robustness. Practice not collapsing emotionally when a text goes unread for a day. Have activities, friends, work that fill your life's perimeter. People who have full, rich lives are fascinating because they add to your world, not consume it. Second, cultivate and pursue skills, curiosity, a creative habit. Do something that fills your hours beyond scrolling. Passion is irresistible. A man who knows a skill or has a project signals competence, which is attractive. Third, practice selective generosity. Give without expectation, but be selective about where you give your energy. Stoics were generous with time and wisdom, but not in ways that erode their stability. That discernment is magnetic. Let's translate this into concrete interactions. On a first date, listen more than you talk. When the conversation drifts to expectations, say calmly, I'm looking for someone who wants to grow with me. I respect what you bring, and I bring consistency. Do not recite a laundry list of attributes as if you are selling a product. Speak with clarity about values. Values attract values. On a text thread, resist the urge to perform with emojis and over-enthusiastic responses. Instead, respond thoughtfully and within your rhythm. Delay is not a game. It's dignity. When you reply with intentionality, you show that your life is not revolving around a ping. That is alluring. When conflict emerges, use the phrase as a reset. Instead of escalating, say, I respect you, and I respect myself. Let's find a way that honors both. It disarms defensiveness, because you've recognized both parties' dignity. You're not conceding. You're negotiating from a place of worth. Women and people generally value partners who can hold complex emotions without collapsing into blame. This competence in conflict often distinguishes temporary hookups from real relationships.